Hi guys, welcome back. Now we are going to discuss about prototype design pattern. So in the last videos we discussed couple of design patterns, right? So now we are going to discuss about in this video fully about prototype design pattern. What is basically prototype design pattern? So prototype design pattern is a part of creational design pattern first of all, okay? And it allows to cloning the object for each instance creation. Okay, so if you remember our singleton design pattern, so that is whenever you are creating the instance, it will create only one object. The whole project you can use only one instance, right? Whenever you are creating object, it will give the same instance again and again. But this is opposite to that. Actually, whenever you are requesting to create an object, it will create a new instance for you. Okay, basically it will clone the instance for you from the, for example, first instance I created. When I'm trying to create a second object, it will clone from that. Okay, when I'm trying to do the third object creation, it will clone from the second. Okay, so that is the basic behavior of prototype design pattern. Okay, so basically prototype design pattern is having two types. Okay, one is shallow cloning and another one is deep cloning. What is shallow cloning? What is deep cloning? So for example, you are having a object called company. Okay, maybe you just assume that you are having an object called company. Okay, company have the company name, company ID, so company sector, what is the business properties for the company. So all these primitive data types will be there, as well as company will hold the employee object, which will have the list of employees, correct? So that is again employee object. Employee is a object, not a field, right? So I mean employee is a object field, right? So that is not a normal primitive fields. So if you are creating a company name, maybe you will give the string, right? If you are giving company ID, you will give this ID. Sorry, you will give it as an integer. So these all are primitive data types, okay? But when you are creating the employee list in the company object, you will give the employee object itself, right? So that is the object. So in the shallow cloning, only primitive data types fields are copied, okay? Not object reference are not copied basically. Okay, so in the company object, if you are trying to clone that, so only company ID, company name you can clone it out. Employee object you cannot clone it out basically. Okay, in the deep cloning, we can do primitive data type fields and object reference are both are copied actually. So that is called as a deep cloning. Okay, so hope you understood, right? Let's jump into some example and let's see how really it is working. Okay, so let me go to my Eclipse. Okay, so this is I created a package called com.techbusblocks.designpattern.prototype. Okay, here I have a class, okay, which is dummy class. It is having the main method, that is fine. Okay, now let me create a class called company. Okay, let me create a class called company. Okay, so company basically will have the what are the fields? Private, right? So integer company ID. Okay, so private integer company, sorry, not integer, private string company name. Okay, now let me create a company will hold list of employees as well, right? So I need to create one more class, okay, called employee, right? Then again, what are the properties will cover in the employee class? You know that, right? The employee ID maybe, right? So private integer employee ID, private string employee name. Let me give one more field like private string employee address. Okay, okay, yeah, that's all. This field, three fields, let's hold it. Okay, so these all are like a employee. So let me create getter and setter. Source, let me create getter and setter first of all. Okay, select all fields, generate. Then the same time let me try to create a what is that constructor as well. Okay, so that it will be easy for us, right? Source, generate toString. Okay, okay, toString also let me create it out. Okay, let me put this in the last. Okay, okay, then same time let me create the constructor as well. Source, where is the constructor? Okay, constructor using fields. Okay, okay, so now basically we are having employee class which is having the, what is that, employee ID, employee name, employee address. I have a getter and setter, I have a constructor, I have a toString method. Okay, so let me jump into company. So I'm going to hold the list of employee object in this place, right? So what I'm going to do, basically private, right, list of employee object. So each company will have list of employee object. Let me give the name as employee list. Okay, so new, maybe let me give it as a array list. Okay, so this is fine, right? Okay, let me import the array list as well as let me import the list. Okay, so now this is fine. Let me create a getter and setter for this as well. Okay, so basically now I created the, what is that, company employee class, and then I created the company class. Company class is holding the list of employees as well as company name and everything. Okay, so what I am trying to achieve, okay, let me create a toString method as well. toString, right? Okay, now, okay, so in the prototype design pattern, okay, now we are having two classes. So in the prototype design patterns, okay, so I want to create a object for company, basically. Okay, so I need to create a object for company. Okay, so what, let me do one thing. Okay, so company 1 equal to new company of, right? Let me create the company class. So I what are the fields are there? Company 1 dot set company ID. Okay, let me give the company ID as maybe 1000. Okay, let me give it like that. Then company 1 dot set company name. Let me give it as CTS. Okay, so let me give it as, then company 1 dot set employee list. Okay, so what basically I will do, instead of setting the employee list from here, right, so let me load the employee list in the company itself. Okay, so I have, let me create one method. Okay, so when I call this method, let it load the employee list here itself. Okay, so public void load employees. Okay, I have a method, normal method. Okay, so when I want to create a employee object, right, employee. Okay, so new employee of, so what are the parameters I need to pass it out? Company ID, right? So okay, company ID, maybe what is that? So this should not be company ID, right? This should be employee ID. Okay, so I'm doing inside the company. Hold on. So let it load it here. Okay, employee ID, right? So employee ID, maybe let me give it as a, right, let me give it as a employee ID as 001, and company name, sorry, employee name, let me give it as a, what is that, Vinod Kumar. Okay, so and this is not a company. Okay, basically let me create it. Why it is showing employee, sorry, company, let me E1. Okay, so equal to new employee of, right, so it should accept the fields. Okay, let me give it that. Okay, now it is coming. Okay, let me give it as employee ID as 1 and employee name. Okay, why it is giving employee address instead of, okay, correct, only employee name. Okay, second is employee name, let me give it as a Vinod Kumar, and employee address, let me give it as a Chennai, basically. Okay, similarly let me create a other, let me try to load couple of fields. Okay, let's go with the 5 object. So 2, let me give Manoj Prabhu Chennai. Then let's go with the 3. So 3 I will give this as a Johnny. Let's give it as a Bangalore. He is basically from working in the Bangalore. Okay, so let me go with the Ruskin. Okay, he is basically working in the Mumbai. Okay, so now the final guy, let me give it as a Kishore. Okay, so Kishore is working basically from Delhi. Okay, so couple of employee object I created. Let me push this employee object into the list. Okay, so E4 and E5. Okay, now how basically will push into, so we are holding the employee, right? So yeah, sorry, actually I'm done one thing. So we need to load, where we need to load, basically in company, right? So yeah, so here we need to load it out. So where we are having the company employee list. Okay, so in the company class, so we need to load the list of employees. Okay, so employee list dot add. Okay, so E1, similarly I need to copy paste the whole stuff. Okay, so employee 2, employee 3, employee 4 and employee 5. Okay, so employee 2 and employee 3 and employee 4 and employee 5. Okay, so basically when I am trying to call this method, so it has to load 5 employees in the company, right? So for particular company. Okay, so let's save this as well. Let me close other all classes. Okay, so this is the prototype design pattern. Let's try to load it from here. Okay, so company one dot get, no, get, not get, load. Okay, load employees. When I'm trying to call, it should load all the employees into the company name as CTS. The company ID is 1000. Okay, let me try to clone the object again. Okay, so now company 2, right, equal to company 1 dot clone. Basically, while before cloning, what basically we need to do, we need to convert the company as, so cloning supportable, right? So what basically we need to do, we need to implement, to support a particular class, we need to implement clonable. Okay, so that it will, this class will get supported. Okay, so let me override the class, let me override the class. Okay, so override, so clone method I need to override. Okay, so I just override it. Okay, so now I can able to clone this. Okay, so now I done the cloning as well. So why it is showing error, I should cache that. Okay, now I should throw the exception, that's all. Okay, so company 1 is there, company 2 is there. I'm trying to clone the company to other objects. So, and 2 objects I created. The second object, when I try to create, I'm just cloning that. Okay, let me try to print this as well. Okay, so what basically we will do, what we can do. Okay, this is fine. Okay, let me try to print the hash code of this stuffs. Okay, system.out.println. Okay, so now once again, okay, let me print the company 1 first of all. Okay, so company 1 dot toString. Okay, so then let me print the company 2 dot toString. Let's verify that, so both is having same value or not, right? Because just we are cloning that. Okay, so company 2. Okay, let's try to run this program. Okay, we have to run this. Okay, so run as Java application. Okay, so you can see that company 1. Okay, so that is company employee object is 1 Vinod Kumar. You can see that in the down right. So all the employees just copy pasted, so I can able to clone that. This is basically called prototype design pattern. Whenever you are calling, you want to clone that, you can able to this is cloning and giving you the, what is that, object. Okay, so let's try to confirm that it is cloning happened or not. To confirm that, what we'll do, we'll try to print the hash code of that as well. Okay, let me try to print the hash code of that. Hash code, hash code. Okay, so this is a hash code for this, and this is a hash code. Okay, let me try to run this. Okay, you can see 2 different hash coded, right? So we can confirm that two different object was created, right? So in the memory, so hash code basically it will point to reference of the memory reference. Okay. Okay, so now you understood that. Okay, let me try to do it the second step. Let me try to set company name. Maybe let me give it as a TCS, right? So let's try to run this. See, you can see that is changing. Okay, so now hope you understood that. So I can able to clone the object and I can use it out. This is called shallow cloning. Okay, this is called shallow cloning. Okay, so now we achieved the first part of prototype. What is that? Prototype having two different cloning. One is shallow cloning, another one is deep cloning. Okay, so now are you sure that both is happening in the cloning? So for example, first cloning was done, second also cloning was done. So two different instances created, right? So let me try to do one thing. Okay, as of now you can understand that two different, so company 1 is different object, company 2 is different object. If I'm changing the company 2 here, right, so it is changing exactly 2. Okay, it is not even reflecting 1. Now let me try to do one thing. Okay, so after done this, what I will do, company 1 dot, okay, get employee list, right? So we are having employee list dot, let me try to remove 0th position. Okay, and let me try to run this again. So what I'm going to do, I'm just getting the first employee, right? So first employee object, and trying to get the list of object and try to remove the 0th one. So it should get remove this employee 1, right? So let's try to see that. What you can able to see? Okay, so first what I done, the first step, this is the first step, project object creation, then I done that, and this is second object creation, and after second object creation I try to change the primitive data type. Okay, make sure that we are changed the primitive data type, company name as TCS. Then what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to change the company 1 employee list. Employee is the object, okay, not a primitive, that is object. When I try to change the company 1, right, what happened actually, it is changing in both places, what is that, in both places, right? So it is changing the first one as well as the second object. What is the issue here? It should not change, right? Because I'm cloning the whole object, right? So this is called shallow cloning. So shallow cloning only copying the, what is that, primitive data types. Maybe if I am keeping another one field like a employee set, employee company name, company ID. Okay, so 1002. Okay, now let me try to run this. You can see that. So shallow cloning only changing the primitive data types. It is not copying the object. So sorry, it is copying only primitive database, not copying the object. So if I remove any one of the object, any one of the so company 1 is one object, company 2 is one object. Again, inside the company 1 we are having employee object. If I am touching the inside employee object, it is reflecting in both places. It means that it is not cloned the employee object, just it is copying only primitive fields. It is not copying the object, right? So we are having in the company, to double confirm, we are having in company ID, company name, and employee. So these two fields got cloned, but this is not get cloned because as it is a object. Okay, so this is what shallow cloning. Okay, what basically I need to do to clone the object as well, right? So because this is not right, so so if one company is having some employee, again see other company also cloning that employee and trying to do the changes, if it is reflecting that company as well, so it is not good, right? So it is not good practice, right? So what basically we need to do is that we need to make small change to cloning play part. Okay, so this is cloning the normal stuff, right? So this is called shallow cloning. Now we are going to understand how deep cloning we can do. Okay, so when I'm going to clone the company, right? So company equal to super dot clone. Okay, so this is fine. I'm going to clone the company, that is fine. Then what I need to do after cloning the company, inside whatever object was there, right, set employee list, because these objects will not get cloned, right? So I need to create a new array list. Okay, and that array list I need to place this employee list. Okay, so and I need to return the company. Okay, now what I'm doing, so first I'm going to create a new company. I'm just cloning the company, okay, as usual. Then the second step, what I'm doing, so whatever objects are available, employee is one object as of now, so that object I'm trying to create newly with the loading of this same value. I'm just trying to paste it here, okay, as a new array list. You mean if you know about new, what basically it will do, right? It will create a new array list, and I'm setting that into the employee list when I'm cloning. So whenever you are cloning, you will get a new array list, right? So let's try to run this and let's try to see that. See the magic of this. Now, so the same logic was there. So I have a company 1 and I have a company 2, and I'm just removing the employee from the company 1 alone. So this company 1 alone don't have the employee 1. This Vinod Kumar is having only in company 2, right? So it means that, so now we can able to clone primitive data types, fields as well as object fields, right? This is called deep cloning. Hope you understood, right? So let me revise it very quickly. So this is our basic class. We are having a main class. Okay, so this is my company class. Basically I'm having a company, I have a 2 primitive fields, 1 object reference object field. Okay, I want to do the prototype design pattern. Okay, so I've just created the employee object as well. Okay, so for prototype design pattern we are having 2. One is shallow cloning, deep cloning. Shallow cloning will copy only these fields, primitive fields. Okay, it will not copy this one. So it will deep cloning will copy all these 3. Okay, so when we are using shallow cloning, it will the inside objects, right? So this object, only one object will get created. All the references will point to the same object. If how many object you created, company object, but the employee list object will be created only once. So if you change any one of the company object, okay, company object of employee list, it will reflect all the company. So okay, so it is not like a created new instance for you, the employee list, employee object. Okay, so for that, what basically we are going to, this is called a shallow cloning. Okay, to avoid this type of stuff, we are going to create a deep cloning. So for that, we are creating a new company in the clone method, and we are going to set the new object whenever we are creating that. Okay, so hope you understood. This is called, what is that, prototype design pattern. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye.